Welcome to Clixed Off, brought to you by Lucky Dice Cafe out of Huntsville, Alabama. Check them out at LuckyDiceCafe.com. And now for your hosts, Daniel Powell, Jason Alvey, Alex Coons, and Tylor Speeds.
Hey everybody, welcome to Clixed Off today. This is your host Daniel Powell speaking. Just want to let everybody know Clixed Off is brought to you by TrollandToad.com, world's largest HeroClix retailer. Find HeroClix new and old on TrollandToad.com and use coupon code CliXedOff for 5% off your HeroClix order. Merchant and pre-order items do not apply. If you like what you're hearing today on Clixed Off, check us out patreon.com/CliXedOff. $1 and above gets entered into our monthly giveaways. $5 and above gets entered into our Discord server channel for HeroClix strategy and tactics discussion. Joining me today is Jason Battle Mode Alvey.
That's right. Snap, snap. Let's go.
What's your code? What's your code?
Yeah, hit me up.
And also joining me is Tylor. Hasn't read the new PAC yet, Spees.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what's going on.
And Alex, Obscure References Coos.
Yep, that's actually probably me to a T. Like, I make some very obscure references. Like the game Anticipation. I saw that on My Brother and Me, and yeah, I forgot about that game. If you guys, that's probably too old for everybody here, but I used to play the old NES. So
you do realize that you're like the second youngest on the call, right?
Sure.
I mean, you talking about the original Nintendo Entertainment System?
Yeah.
Dude, I'm like 44 years old. Like, I'm quite familiar with it.
Yeah, they referenced it on their show and started playing music from it, and man, that was a hit in the head of like nostalgia.
And then our special guest tonight is Brad. He has a free online HeroClix tournament on February 25th. Broyles.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for having me on, guys. I know it's very last minute. Work got canceled for me, so I've been wanting to get on the show and just hang out with you guys. Y'all are one of my favorite shows. I like everybody's perspective and takes. It's really fun to hear Alex do his old references because I usually get them.
Yes, someone does. That makes it feel better.
And I like Dan's. If everything's overpowered, nothing is overpowered because I'm usually in that boat. And I like Jason because he usually has the the experience. Because I've been playing since 2012, 2011, and I actually know the references he's talking about in HeroClix. I love Tylor, who doesn't know what HeroClix costs.
That's true.
Yeah, I think you just said bio for the show, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Right.
Seems to me someone's trying to buy his way into another episode. Is what it sounds like to me.
I'll listen to you guys.
And you're doing a good job of doing so.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. Yeah, Tylor, what's the MSRP currently for a booster?
Okay, I know it went up with Disney Plus. I'm gonna get. I think, is it $16.99? Is that right?
No, the official price is too fucking much. But
It's $17.99 for most stores.
Yeah, it is. It is $17.99.
yeah.
Yeah, 180 for a brick.
When I first started getting back into it, the shop that I went to had a you buy 3, you get it for $30. That's when I started.
Yep.
Oh man, those are the days.
Booster. Yeah.
Yeah, there's unfortunately, like, there's a store that has, like, here locally that has like 3 bricks that are half off, so they're like, you know, $90. And like they're just not worth.
They're still not worth buying.
They're just still not worth buying, unfortunately, because it's just so random, right? Because they're like sets with like the distribution that's like make it or break it. And
are they modern legal sets?
Yeah, it's like War of the Realms, Disney Plus.
Wow.
And
well, you get into the quintessential problem of either the set has bad collation, so you don't want to buy any of it, or the set had a lot of really good figures in it, so you have everything in it.
No, I mean, like to me, like I wouldn't mind to buy it for like $90.
It's a tough balance for sure
to resell it, right? But you just don't know, right? The Disney Plus, if the Disney Plus included a Scarlet Witch, an Agatha, or a Saki, then sure. But like,
how much is she going for?
Which one?
Scarlet Witch.
Like $175.
Okay, so she's still pretty
yeah, like Agatha's down to like $75. Saki went up. I sold I sold Sam. She didn't want it anymore, and I sold him for $130. And whereas I'd sold my 2 that I wanted at Worlds for like $75 each.
Agatha's the one that comes with the book, right?
They both did.
Oh,
Switch and Agatha both come with the Darkhold.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
that's probably for the best.
Yeah, but I mean, most of the super rares aren't selling for much. I mean,
right. That's really the problem that you run into.
That set was pretty chase heavy, for sure.
If you don't hit one of those 3, you lost your money. Very basic.
Pretty much.
Like, unless the set just dropped. If the set had, like, for the first month, you were probably okay, because you could have gotten, like, Spider-Man with the cloak or something. Like, some of the objects, you had a little bit of value there, but now everyone has the objects, so...
I feel like the last couple of sets... No, the last 2 sets have been okay, but no, the primes have been a little bit maybe lacking recently. But that's maybe just because we have Destroyer and MJJ that is just like, you know, bullying everybody else out. No. This last set I liked. This last set's primes were a step up, but like the few sets before that, I feel like.
Right.
Yeah, Avengers Forever was kind of mad. I mean, Century is still going for like 120 and whatnot.
Yeah.
Probably, I'm guessing the character drives that a lot too, because people like something.
Yeah, it's both. Yeah.
Right.
I do. Which is a weapon price, by the way. After we talk about these new maps.
That's true. Yeah.
I just want to. I can't. I don't. All right, hold on. I want to mention this guy by name because I appreciate it.
I thought you were calling someone out.
No, I just want to mention this guy, Dennis. Man, Chavez. No, it's Dennis Chaves. Sorry, Dennis, if I butchered your name every 3 ways I try to pronounce it. But Chavez. He's like, I do like, he asked, he made one about Batman Prime this morning, and he's like, so I made a similar post about Arachnite. Why are they so expensive? Is he worth a shit? And he didn't say it that way. He said, is he really worth the price tag? He had a very well-worded question, but paraphrasing it, saying he asked the same thing about Arachnite. And I'm like, well, Batman Prime's kind of like Arachnite. It's a Green Lantern and a Batman.
Yeah, that pitch was never going to be under $100, but it's also really good.
Yeah, it's also really good. And my explanation is like, you see Batman Prime on a winning team, you're not going to go, oh, that guy won the games. Much like in the same way you'll see Venom Magneto on there, and you'll be like, yep, Venom Magneto definitely TK'd that guy up the map.
Yeah, he's less than a tenth of your build.
Right. So today we are going to talk about the rules update number 2 and 3. And do we just want to start out with number 2? I feel like number 3 is going to be a little more in depth.
Well, we do just a quick recap of what the first one was, just like 2 sentences.
Talk about terrain. We talked about it last episode. It was terrain markers and the change to terrain and the hint of some changes with the powers, like with super strength and all of that. But yeah, we got to talk about 2 because most of the power changes are relating to the map change.
Tyler didn't listen to the last episode.
No, he probably didn't, which is fine.
I normally do.
I didn't either.
Not, though.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So, Alex, did we just go over Did we go over the Article 1? Was that just you and I?
Yes. Yeah, you and I went over the article and Silver Age.
Right.
It was a fun episode.
Yeah, I
so.
agree. Yeah, I had fun.
All right. So, well, you can call me out.
So
anyway,
the second rules update.
this is probably the biggest. Right?
Yeah, so it's called Impact to Maps. The biggest change out of it is obviously the move from the 2x3 maps to the 2x2, which is the Battle Royale maps. Basically, current 2x3 maps will still be legal in Modern for as long as the sets are legal. So that should be probably through Batman. I think Batman's the first set that doesn't. No, they're 2x3 in there, I think, right?
They are, yeah.
They are, but they can be 2x2, right?
So the one in the minis, I don't know if the play-at-home kits are.
Probably not.
So, but basically for the next 2 years, right? 2.5 years, both maps will be legal to play. And the other part that I think is almost arguably more dynamic than switching to the Battle Royale maps is the starting areas are now changing to there's not going to be printed starting areas anymore on the BR maps. Instead, it's just you pick one of the sides and you get one column or row, and that's where your team goes. And then your opponent gets the other side, the opposite side, in one row. And I assume there's going to be rules for Colossals like they've done before.
Yeah.
If it doesn't fit, expand one row, like et cetera, et cetera. I think that ultimately is a bigger change, which we'll talk about, because like that throws off a lot of teams. Not being able to be next to
so I get to start like halfway up the map, just turn it sideways.
Well, I think you probably will have to keep Galactus turned on his 2 side, not his 3 side, or 4, or however big he is, or 6.
We'll see what the wording is.
In the article, they also talk about, which we'll get to in the pack, basically anything that has a minimum range 6 is being changed to 4. That goes along with 20%, 33% change in map size. It kind of just, they took a 33% chunk out of the range, something like that. Don't quote me on that. And then they changed, this is a huge one that a lot of people have called for, is changing how first player goes. Basically, you roll for first player. Whoever wins the roll chooses between being first or second. Second player chooses the map, and then first player chooses which edge they'll use, and second player uses the opposite edge, and places their first player uses their starting area and places their force and terrain. Second player uses the opposite edge, places their force and terrain, and then etc. But the big change is basically you roll off at the beginning and you pick either going first or map.
Yeah, one or the other. Yeah.
Yeah, which is huge. Which is especially important because of the map change. If the map change if we didn't get that change and like during this map change, this would have been like a nightmare scenario where it's like, oh, I went in, so I'm first player and I'm putting you on this tiny map, so you can't do anything about it. In this case, it helps significantly for the Sky Tyrants and the people that really want to maximize using a Battle Royale map. It's like, okay, well, if you choose it, you're going second, and it's more likely than not I'm going to be able to get over to you because I'm as first player. Like, I'll be able to get to you. So,
okay, so that's all the
5%
changes.
reduction, by the way.
Let's go one at a time.
25% reduction.
Thank you, 25. Thank you. I knew I knew they were pretty much similar reductions, but
so
was good.
So which part? So games will be on a 2x2 map.
Can be on a 2x2 map.
Can be on a 2x2 map
for the next about 2.5 years.
Then they'll all be on 2x2 maps.
Yes, correct.
Then we'll be ready for a new rules update.
Yeah,
if we're still playing by then.
Yeah, so I think inherently this is a good change. I think that 2x2 maps, I like the idea of it. It makes it more similar to maybe other board games and things like that, the longer maps it's kind of like there was supposed to be, you move up halfway and then there's like a setup turn almost, unless you were playing an Alpha Strike team. This one just seems like you got two armies that are going back and forth. I like the change inherently, and I think it can be balanced around. I think it's weird that there's going to be two different maps in Modern and there's going to be two different rule sets. I don't like that. It feels like it's going to be very hard to balance that aspect of the game.
So
one other thing I failed to mention because it was in one sentence. They are also, with these maps going forward, scaling back the amount of printed terrain on the maps.
Mm-hmm.
So you will probably see more bare.
Right. So one thing we mentioned and didn't mention last week is that we don't really know how this new terrain is going to be distributed. The selectable terrain, the addable terrain to maps. But I called it back when they announced this at Worlds. I'm like, yeah, we're getting Con LE terrain. It's happening. I can just feel it.
Yeah, could be.
If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Then everyone just calls me silly. But if I'm right, they're like, well. And then additionally, with the map size, I would like to point out that astute listeners of Clixed Off have been prepared for this for 5 years. Zirin in 2018 said that he wanted the maps to be smaller, so it fits better on the board game shelf.
Mm-hmm.
So
I also do like the change because now that it's a square, you can pick the side. So
I
it's
know.
like you get 4 different options. That's cool. That adds a lot of decision making to the map choices and to each individual game.
You stole what I was getting ready to say.
Okay,
but yeah,
I apologize.
No, you don't have to. You don't have to apologize.
Yeah. I have a cool thing to add. It's a speculation thing. What if in the future, to help embiggen or grow the 2x2 map size, if we are allowed to play the BR maps going forward?
They could just make a Modern legal.
Yeah.
I don't think they will, just because those seem specifically designed for 4 players.
Yeah.
But I guess they don't have to be. They could.
Yeah, I've seen plenty of players, 2 players just play on those maps.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. You could just
for funsies.
For funsies, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see a reason why they would release so many of those maps specifically for X of Swords. Because are they like 4 separate maps, or do they look very similar, like both sets?
I realized today that X of Swords was just a field test for everything they're doing now.
Mm-hmm.
All the stats were lessened. There was 4 figures in a booster with an object for the same, Like, the equipping of the sword at the beginning of the Battle Royal for free, all that stuff was just a field run for everything.
Kind of true.
And to piggyback off that, Jason, I mean, regardless of whether we like the stat changes or not, good on them for like revving that up early. Like, hey, we're making these map changes this coming spring. Let's start with X of Swords and really start limiting things. So that way when it comes next year, but like when rotation happens, right? X of Swords will probably survive whenever all those rotations happen. Whoops. And,
jeez, Alex.
But it was just like, okay, we're going to throw all this out here in this disguised as an OP and see if everybody bitches about it before we do it.
Yeah.
I like the lowered stats, by the way. I mean, I like having strong stuff, don't get me wrong, but it's been such an arms race the last 3 or 4 years.
I feel like I don't see a lowering of stats.
The figures in the OP set in itself, I'm saying.
Yeah, because that was balanced around the BR. So.
Right, but they're still probably going to be more in line with what we're getting based on the map size. Is what I'm saying.
True.
If you look at them, yeah.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah, I mean, and that's fine. I had fun, and the only negative side I had about the storyline OP for X of Swords was simply I was kind of tired of it come month 3, which is how it always works with these storyline events, unless it was like Age of Ultron or War of Light, where it's like, oh, you've got a completely different set. like even though it was different months and the super rares changed, it still kind of felt the same. That and the maps weren't that different. 2 super rares and a brick, so
in and of itself, it was fun. But like when you take those figures and compare them to everything else that we like to play with, we don't like them.
Yep. The only good comment that I think was playable was the Stepford Cuckoo thing.
I mean, are we going to get that more often now?
I hope so. Honestly.
Well, I mean,
why?
I guess
why do you hope so? Why?
Because I think it's fun to play with crappy figures.
Why is it fun to play with crappy figures? Why is it fun? Why is it fun to charge less squares or running shot less squares? Or like,
I can maybe see the appeal inside of a set, but when you expand it to all of the rest of HeroClix, those pieces are going to be trash.
Totally hard.
Yeah.
Well, everything going forward is going to be It's going to be like downgraded like that now.
Well, so I don't think so. Like this last set has not. There's no lowering of stats. This last set This last set's crazy good.
It's coming. Look at that 3-speed and 4-speed charge and running shot.
It's coming, Tyler.
Why? Why would WizKids want to make a less desirable product?
Because now they've shortened the maps, Tyler.
Balance issue.
No, so the downgrade in stats, we're talking purely about speed and range. The attack, damage, defense, that has not changed. It's still 12 attacks on some 4 damage.
Yeah, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about
we're talking purely range is taking a hit significantly, and then reach essentially, and sidestep's basically gone. But like there's very few.
Why? Well, sidestep's not officially gone, but I mean, I guess it's on less figures. I guess I didn't look into how many of the new stuff.
Sidestep got a huge buff with the smaller map.
Yeah, it's a half a TK for free. At this
point. Like it's the best power in the game, pretty much. And like, I guess now we're not going to see things.
I don't think we might be exaggerating that. It got a slight buff with the map.
I can't wait to talk about the best power of the game.
It's half a TK, Tyler.
Yeah,
it is half a TK, but that doesn't make sidestep better. That might make TK worse. Sidestep's a little better, but it's
right. But what we're talking about is
crazy,
Yeah, but they're clearly dialing it back because there were only 3 figures in the set of Batman that got it, and it was Fred, Daphne, and Velma. And then you had the miniatures. There was a few more.
All of the chases have it.
Do they?
Yeah, they have it as their elaborate prank trait or whatever.
Trait. Okay, more mystery ink people like not a lot of other like Justice League or those type of people have it printed or as a trait. It's mostly just very limited to when it felt like they were handing it out like candy for a while.
Yeah, I do agree. It should be scaled back because they were giving it to everybody. Like everybody had that power. Like if there's the dude in the lab coat, he has sidestep for some reason. So I'm glad they scaled it back.
They didn't want to leave naked powers, right? That's the worst feeling when you see a naked speed. So it's like, the scientist can move out of the way, I guess, and sidestep.
Yeah, like just if you're a normal dude, you get this power, which I never really liked.
So,
but yeah, okay.
So I was thinking I've been talking about it today a little bit now that we know the powers. Super Rare Flash solos new maps.
Yeah, Super Rare Flash can go edge to edge on turn 1 with no assistance. That is true.
Yes.
So let's go into the rules update 3 then and talk about powers real quick.
Well, we haven't done the second one, I don't think.
The one thing I would like to point out is the huge imbalancing. You talked about how you're going to have maps for the next 2.5 years. We also have figures for the next 1 to 2 years. It'll just going to be overpowered and be on a lot of teams. Felix Fast for the next couple of months. Destroyer until he retires. He just sees almost the entire.
So
Destroyer, yeah, true.
So there's a couple things, right? So we expect. I'm just we don't know this for sure, so we expect X-Men Rise and Fall to be the oldest set in Modern when retirement happens. So that means that Flash goes away. So Solo the map Flash goes away.
And Sky Tyrant.
And Sky Tyrant. Yeah, and Sky Pogger Tyrant, right? Pogger's Tyrant. So he goes away. But that leaves us with Gladdy Daddy.
Mm-hmm.
And then another important note, also the Hierophant exists, which was already insane on a 2x3 map.
Well, I think that we just have to, going forward, there's not really a setup turn. It's just like, you should be expected to be attacked turn 1 without any exceptions.
Well,
very easily that should happen.
Turn 2, right? The go turn. There is still first turn immunity.
Yeah, obviously.
The Tylor turn. He's talking about the Tylor turn one.
The Tylor turn. Yeah.
Yeah, the Tylor turn.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, Emperor Gladiator solos the map with 1 perplex.
Doesn't he need a perplex?
So he's starting 1.
Doesn't he have a running shot of like 12 or something?
No, he's got a running shot. Never mind, he's got a running shot of 14.
He has that 15 range by himself. So
yeah,
I want to see Rise and Fall go away.
Why? Like, what do you not like?
So we can get rid of X-Swap.
Yes, I also want Rise and Fall to go away.
Oh,
yeah,
just get rid of X-Swap and move on.
I don't think they'll do that.
That's a spicy take, Jason. I like it. I'm here for it.
Yeah, I'm saying I'm down for it. Let's go.
I mean, I've never been a fan of swaps, so I agree with that. But yeah, so the maps are shorter now. I do think that can be a positive change. It will make games quicker because there's not really that setup turn. And with the scaling back of stuff, the terrain is really, I think it's a cool idea. It makes each game more unique.
But there's going to be terrain that is superior, right?
Well, yeah, that's true.
I mean,
we're probably going to end up with a pile of 1x1 something or another's that nobody will ever want to use.
Maybe. Like you could, if they're like a standard object, you might want to use them for like Sakari Iron Man or something.
Something I noticed, I saw somewhere, I forget where I saw it, but it mentioned making terrain mobile. Some terrain, I don't know if all terrain, but some terrain is mobile, obviously, for super strength attacks. But maybe some of those immobile ones become more elevated in play.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I'm sure some of them are going to have special abilities. It's just a matter of time.
I mean, like, I'm thinking, like, what comes to mind is, like, Krakoa. Like,
is there currently a way to destroy an immobile indestructible object?
No. No, other than like converting it. Other than like converting it.
Right. Yeah. Some specific thing.
I'll bet you that the best terrain they come up with for the first batch will be in the miniature starter game. How much you want to bet me?
You probably. They tend to put little things in there that make you have to buy them, which makes sense. I don't know, that cargo thing, like, that could be really good. Like, I'm very excited about that. The one that they previewed that has elevated terrain on it.
Mm-hmm.
If you go first and you have a what's his face, Emperor Gladiator, like, you set that out there, and then turn 1 you can running shot on top of it and shoot over people. Like, you can hit anybody basically.
Well, except
really good.
So I think the biggest counter to it all is, oh gosh, hold on, what was I thinking? That some maps, I was looking through maps this week, and like, your terrain that you can bring is like a single square of blocking too.
Right, you can just bring 1 square blocking or water or hindering, I think, are the 3.
Yeah. So, like, that is quite crazy to me.
Or elevated. Because it's elevated.
Because some maps you can just completely block away with 3 squares of blocking.
Yeah,
but we'll get to why that may not be that big of a deal when we get to the PAC, because the PAC does compensate for that significantly.
Right, I think they made the maps. This makes the maps a lot more dynamic, right? It's a lot more decision making right at the start of the game, and you have to find ways around that, and it'll, like, the map will change dynamically throughout the game, or it should. Like, very cool interactions, I feel like.
Yeah, a little bit of they looked at Crisis Core or Crisis Protocol and was like, oh yeah, some
never played that.
Things you can interact with on the map. That's neat.
So can I give out a piece of wild speculation?
Okay, go ahead.
I guess.
No, I guess it's either a yes or no, Alex. Can I give out a piece?
Yes, shoot it. Let's go.
All right.
Yes, I'd like to talk about it too, like the maps. So,
how long before we get a structural integrity field effect again?
Never forget.
We don't need that again.
I don't think they'll ever do that. I don't think they'll do it.
Oh, come on now. Come on, all this.
We just had this fucking problem.
All this terrain, all this stuff, getting manipulated. There's people that don't like that manipulation, right? I mean, in the comic books.
I bet you a booster on it.
Next
2 years.
That's not fair. You don't buy boosters.
Not buy a booster.
Yeah, I don't.
I mean, he bet a brick with Nate, and he doesn't buy bricks, so it's perfectly fine.
Did you ever buy brick? Did you ever buy Nate his brick?
We never really ended up seeing each other, so I just sent him the money for it.
Oh, okay.
In Chipotle gift cards.
How? Yeah.
I sent him $400 because he doesn't know how much a brick cost.
How magnanimous of you.
Yep.
So I don't know. I just feel like that's coming at some point. But I mean, the thing is like now. I just don't think it can be understated to me. The smaller map with the speed powers not changing is absolutely bonkers.
It just kind of fundamentally changes the game, but that's kind of what they're going for.
Right. So, I get it. I mean, yeah, you're right. It is huge. But, like...
Say that again?
It fundamentally changes...
No, his original statement.
Bonkers. He said bonkers. He used the word bonkers.
Yeah, bonkers.
In reference to what?
The map size being smaller.
Oh. Okay.
And not changing any speed powers. Hypersonic, charge, running shot.
Right, okay. Yeah, I just figured running shot and charge were in for it after that, but I'm happily surprised.
I'm concerned about the terrain and starting area. That's what I'm mostly concerned.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. The starting area change is the bigger change to me because, judging from my experience in Florida, if you didn't have an Alpha Strike team, aka if you didn't play Venom Magneto, the game's boiled down to who is going to move up a little bit first, and then the other person's going to move up. So effectively shrinking the map to a 2x2. And then engagement happens. So it's like the first 2 turns are a little bit of a dance if you didn't have Alpha Strike. And it's like, oh, we're doing this dance, moving around. Now we're within a Battle Royale map. Okay, now we're just going to attack at this point. Like, now we're going to engage more. So this kind of... that effectively eliminates those little dancing turns where you're like, oh, well, I can't quite get to you this one turn, so I'm going to move up and still kind of be out of range, but maybe I got a trick where I got 2 perplexes I could get to you. Like, that eliminates that and makes it where, okay, we got to engage. Like, there's no dawdling around and being like, I'm going to hide for forever and make you come to me and then I'm going to react. It's like, so I like that aspect of it. I think it's going to be very interesting. And I think the second thing we need to finally get to helps mitigate that, which is the change to first player and choosing map.
Oh man, I
just real quick on the starting areas. I agree that is a very significant change, bigger than people realize. They mentioned that it was going to affect Alpha Strike teams because a lot of that relies on carrying multiple figures, so it's harder to set up. Another thing it's going to affect though is barrier. It's way harder to barrier in a team of 7 figures now. You have to do a lot of shuffling around before that happens.
And with the eventual loss of with not as many people having sidestep, that adds into the whole loss of sidestep, because otherwise sidestep's like, okay, well, I just sidestep over. Now we're in how we wanted to be. Like,
yeah, and it's very easy to break first turn immunity now. You can't shuffle without breaking first turn immunity.
Yeah, I would also like to be clear that you should not be ever trying to barrier in 7 figures because you don't have the action economy for it. Just
just like on your first turn, like if you're trying to avoid an Alpha Strike.
Well, so what you can
I
do
know,
now,
which is great because that means that you're on your map, or you're on your map, or you chose to be there. So you should be able to have your team set up to protect against that Alpha Strike.
Well, keep in mind one thing that we have is you have the whole side, so you could put half of your team in one corner and the other half in the other corner, and just use 2 barriers. Like we didn't typically, starting areas don't go to both corners. They go to either one corner or they are 2 to 3 squares off. So that is the big difference to where it's like, hey, if you're coming at with a Sky Tyrant, if you're coming at with a Sky Tyrant, I can now put people in both corners, and just you got to pick one, and because you're not going to hit both unless you got a crazy Pog thing. But even then,
that'd be really hard to do.
Yep. But yeah, first player or map, it's huge.
Well, my concern was also the placing the terrain in front of your opposing team, like right in front of them, so you screw with their movement, you screw with their TK, you might screw with their flying if they can't fly.
Mm-hmm.
It's right there in your starting area.
Oh no, Brad, you're right. It's nuts.
Because you could totally block a team in with 2 sets of barrier.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true for sure. Especially if you have that friggin' 2x3 cargo thing. My guess is they're gonna have to be maybe 2 squares away from starting area and 2 squares away from each other or something like that.
Yeah, we don't know the rules yet because that's not in the pack. That would be in the rule book as far as setup goes. So we don't know where the terrain has to be placed. We don't know how objects have to be placed.
I mean, it does say place them anywhere on the map outside of their starting areas.
Just not the first row.
Much like with the current rules for objects, during setup, each player may place their 3 terrain markers anywhere on the map outside of their starting area.
Okay, well there you go.
You know
That's
what?
right after the big bowl.
You know what, Alex? Nobody wants you to just be reading the article. Okay, we only have room for wild conjecture here. Okay.
But the thing to keep in mind though is if you're trying to pin somebody and you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna you're gonna have to give up map for that to happen because you want to be second player in order to pin somebody in. Right?
No, so I think here's how you do it. So here's the plan, right? If you win the roll, and you choose map,
right?
Okay.
All right. So that means the other player gets to go first.
Right.
Right. So there are maps out there where there are probably going to be 16 by 16 maps where you can place terrain and then have figures with range that are able to then, as second player, right? Because you have first turn immunity as second player, right? Now, that means you also can't go attack, but you could also go, if they just go pass, you can also then go barrier them in with a lot more efficiency than you used to be able to. Because you also get the 3 squares of blocking, right? Because you can just include 3 squares of blocking on your build, right? So you start the barrier them in 1, 2, 3, and then you can TK figures out, whatever. We've got figures with 8 range barrier, and just go place barrier in front of their start zone, right? So like what Brad was alluding to.
Alpha Strike barrier teams. Who would have thought?
Yeah, I'm down. I'm down. It makes me so excited.
We can
I'm currently unconcerned for that, and I doubt it will be effective. Now, placing a blocking terrain in front of them, that could be huge. I agree, but I don't know about the Alpha Strike barrier. I'm not sold on that.
Give them an indoor map. What do they do? Well, if they don't have the damage,
it's a whole.
Well, then they built a bad team.
It's also the whole sideline, though. You got 16 squares. You're blocking 3 of them.
And as we'll discuss later, it's way easier to deal with blocking terrain. Not way easier, but it is easier.
Like it doesn't seem like that. If you put 3 blocking terrain in front of my people, my first thought is, okay, are you not coming to shoot me? Like, it depends on what the rest of your team is, right? Like, if you can't get through that barrier, I'm going to say, thank you, sir. Can I have more barrier to protect myself for you to come over? But I'm assuming you're building something to make use of the barrier you put in front of them. That also means you're at somewhat of a disadvantage, right? Like, you're not playing objects. Like, you're not playing any of that stuff.
The cool terrain. Like the cargo ship. Or cargo... What are these called? Cargo...
I don't know.
Crate.
The cargo crate?
The big one that they show, the 3x2 elevated thing. It's a big cargo
That's
container.
A storage container.
Container.
Shipping container. Shipping,
yeah.
There it is. Yeah,
I
that
was
thing.
wondering how many times you're going to keep saying cargo.
Also, so you choose first. What you're saying is you choose map. So I put my stuff first.
Yeah.
What's to stop me from putting 3 things in front of my people first? You can't put your terrain on mine.
This is how objects and teams work now. Is player 1 places their team, player 2 places their team, and then player 1 places their objects, and player 2 places their objects.
Yeah. So, right, that's not how it's going to go because it's worded differently.
No, I mean, first player chooses which edge they'll use and places their force and terrain markers.
Yeah.
So you can use your terrain, but the fact that if you are forcing your opponent, the first player, to use their terrain defensively against your terrain that you want to use against them in the best offense is a good defense.
It's not.
I don't. You're overthinking this.
No, I'm
significantly.
No, I have been thinking about it a lot. You are correct that I have been thinking about it a significant amount of time.
You love barrier. That's why you're thinking about it. So
I know,
much.
and it's been awesome.
I love barrier too.
And
it's
I never
nearly as good as you think it's going to be. I
really
so. Don't.
And what is as good as I think is going to be is I don't have to worry about that silly ass Jubilee for the next 6 months.
Yeah, your PTSD, right? Your trigger.
Wait, why don't you have to? Does she not work anymore or something?
Because either I get first strike on Jubilee, or I don't go to that stupid Otherworld map.
Yeah, so they take you. If they take you to Otherworld, then it's not a battle royale map.
That's fine. My
long map again.
My team will still have full map reach with the new rules. It's not hard to still get full map reach with on a 2x3 with a 4-square TK. It's not that big a deal.
Anyway, is there anything we want to talk about regardless of that when it comes to being first player or winning map? Let's talk about that a little bit more than
I like what you mentioned before, that this is how it works, about placing the objects when you place your team, or terrain, sorry. Now you can place it over in one corner, forcing your opponent to go to the other corner, because now they don't want to get their line of fire and movement blocked.
Yeah. I guess it gives more... It gives an advantage to the first player, obviously, because they get the first pick, but since their team is already placed, the blocking TK lines can only really be done by the second player. Now that we're talking it out loud. So that could be an advantage to the second player. But yeah, I initially was not a fan of this change, just because I think that there should be a sizable advantage to going first in a game where you can build to go first and have a higher initiative than your opponent. My thought, and I still think this, is that if the first player just gets to pick between going first and choosing map, then a lot of times that there's no real clear best choice, and then at that point, if there's no clear best choice, or it's so close that it could go either way, then there's no real advantage to going first, or it's a very small advantage.
But
I think.
Sorry, finish your thought. Didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, and I think that there should be a large advantage to that, to win in the initiative, especially, like I said, we've talked about this before, but it's not like in other games like Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh or Hearthstone or Pokemon where you can't really build to go first. It's just a 50-50 toss-up. They flip a coin or whatever. In that case, there should not be an advantage. So there should be something the second player gets that is almost equivalent to where it evens out. But in a game like HeroClix, where there are theme teams that you can build to get initiative to try and go first, there should be a sizable advantage to going first.
So
there needs to be
almost
sizable.
So, but that's the problem that it has become since 2018.
Well,
since 2018, almost every major championship has been won by a theme team.
I don't know if that's true, is it?
It is. I could list it out if you'd like.
That could be true, but even if it's true, that's fine.
Adam Friedman Online was not themed.
Yeah.
Saul's team was unthemed.
Well, so that's good. You're only pointing out the small example. You're pointing out the exceptions, not the rules, right? So
let's say
Fraser's team that won.
That's almost half.
Well, let's say it's 80% of teams. Let's say it's 80% of the winning builds are theme teams, right? Mm-hmm. Isn't that in a game where it's built around building theme teams? They've really emphasized that recently with all the theme team cheating and things like that. That should be. It seems like the design of the game is optimally built. It should be a theme team or you should get advantages for building a theme team, right?
Unthemed definitely has a buff now, for sure.
That's what they've been pushing, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and I agreed initially that there was an issue with it being too strong after the 2017 update, but they've done things to alleviate that. In the 2017 update, they lowered the cap to +3. I liked that change.
That was 20, I think that was 21, but yeah.
21. Okay, yeah, that was after the 2017. So yeah, that was something they did. They also, I think that the biggest thing was the equipment. Just auto-equipping at the first turn, that was a huge advantage to the first player that got removed because you can no longer interact with your opponent's stuff. So I did not think that this needed to be done. I thought that first player...
Even with the map change?
Yeah,
like the map, if they didn't move the map size down, I would be more in your dugout with you. I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. But because they shrunk it and now everyone and their grandma can get over to the other side, it just adds so more emphasis on going first. And so now it's like, okay, well, with map, winning map is also important, at least for the next 2 years, right? Like once we're down the BR maps, maybe they'll change it again.
That's
so
why I don't like that there's 2 map sizes. I don't like that. And just to be clear, they said that there's 2 rule sets, right? On big maps, everything is minimum 6 still, correct?
Yeah, the new rules with the SWAT, like all of that is only for the new stuff.
Well, specifically the minimum ranges, right? TK, and Flex out
what?
Stuff like
Hold
that.
on. Wait,
what?
Where did you get that from? Where did they say that?
For time, maps of both sizes will be legal to play. The new rules we were about to discuss for starting area. Oh, it's just the starting area.
Just starting areas.
For the starting areas will not apply to the larger maps. Sorry.
Okay.
That's what I read was it doesn't apply. It's the starting areas. So you don't get the side. Yeah, because I guess you could choose the one like really, really long side, the 3 on a 2x3.
Yeah.
I want to see a game played like that now. Just to be like, I'm on one tiny corner.
I hate that there's 2 different map sizes. It's so hard.
That's not good.
It's so hard to build a team with that in mind.
You should effectively you should not be building a team to be maximum efficiency only on battle royale maps. You have to build a team that's flexible on both.
Well, yeah, but
that's hard to do.
No, because if you're flexible on the 2x3, you're gonna be flexible. Like if you can manage getting across or being pretty like fluid on a 2x3, then you're gonna be fun on a 2x2. It's the defensive part. I get it. That's the bigger part. Maybe now barrier goes back on certain teams, or you have
I think
certain things.
Getting across the map on a 2x3 in a game that's balanced around getting across the map in a 2x2 is much harder. It's much harder to get across when you like a lot of teams are relying on double TK. Well, that's just been reduced by 4. Like that's a big deal.
2-4.
What?
I'd rather just
you
see
mean
all the
total
big
with
maps
the
thrown out.
Yeah.
Me too.
Can I?
I'd rather
No,
just
okay, so
get rid of all the big maps.
So
get rid of them all.
my counter to that is because if you get rid of the maps, you have to get rid of the sets because you
No, you
have
don't.
you have the
No, you
figures
don't.
with 10 range, 8 range. They have the
Name
added.
a modern figure that's not a legacy card that has 10 range.
I'm pretty sure there's one that
Destroyer.
You don't need to do that. They already have certain maps that are from these other sets that are already not usable. So why the fuck do you have to get rid of the sets?
I don't think that WizKids can do that just because people paid for the maps as recently as like 2 months ago.
Nope,
they can't just say
that
those
is
are
not
worth it enough.
that is not a reasonable excuse in WizKids' eyes. They retired Connelly's and ID cards early after we all went and bought Quinjets. So
rip
Not-
There are
Not
other
to
maps
this-
that came out and were immediately not usable.
yeah,
Right.
Well,
Not-
I mean, John Cena.
Okay, not to this scale and this broad a stroke. I don't think that would go over well. I don't think they could do it. I think what they should have done, it would have been harder, but for the last year, they could have released maps that you could fold in maybe to be a 2x2, and I don't know if that's doable with the design. I'm not sure. I'm not a map designer.
They did it with Batman Team Up Starter.
Right, they did, but I just don't know if they could have done that. If that was feasible, that would have been better. And then just say like, hey,
Well-
the last year, these maps you can use them because
You know what they should have
it's
done?
gonna suck.
They should have
playing
just
this
left it
game.
alone. They should have just left it alone.
I mean, there's an
could have-
argument for that.
We
For
could have
sure.
accomplished all the starting, first player changes without changing the map size and all the powers.
We could have.
Period.
So that's you can argue that is true, and that's fine. I do think that if like they just snap their fingers and this is the only map size and these are the changes, I do think the game is better. I do. I think it's cool. I think it's dynamic how the terrain works and it'll change throughout the game. You get to pick the side. I think it's a great change.
Well, that's fine. I'd be okay with that and just getting rid of the big maps. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in the interim, I cannot stress enough how much it's gonna suck to play a game on a 2x3 map that has rules designed for a 2x2 map. That's gonna suck.
Yeah. So why don't we just get rid of the suck part and just?
I don't under. I'm confused. We just were talking about Emperor Gladiator, how can go across the map on a 2x2 with no help whatsoever.
Yeah.
With the expended, like having the older maps now, if he wants to be on that BR map to do that, he has to give up first player. If you get rid of, so that means you could just go and hit him first because he doesn't like being hit first. He wants to hit first. So if you take that away and he's always on a BR map, then he's going to be oppressive, as is a lot of pieces that have that extra range, extra values. They're going to be oppressive. At least in this point, you could say, okay, if you're trying to build your team with these higher values to be maximum effectiveness on a BR map, and you win, okay, well, I'm going first. So that means I hope your teams can survive my...
Yeah, I disagree
thing.
that he would be oppressive. I think that you don't need an Emperor Gladiator. I think it's so easy to cross the map on a 4x4 or on a 2x2 that every team can do it. So he's not oppressive because everybody can do what he does.
You're
So it's
already
not a big
getting
deal.
hit for alpha strikes on the big maps now. What's the difference?
Right.
Not by a ton of figures. It's usually one figure or maybe
Well, you're
two,
talking
like with
about
Isaac's team.
one figure.
Yeah, that's him by himself.
Well, okay, so
I got the other 200 points to get across the map too. I'm saying, like, I don't see that. I feel like because they have these extra ranges and extra movement speed and all the sidestep, it's great that they're tied to the maps. Like, it's when the maps go, those figures are also gone. So now we're down to the 2x2s with the
Well, then
adjusted
maybe we
stats.
shouldn't have done this until all that shit retired. Then
Well, the problem is it would never work that way. Like, you would just play but you would have consistently a year to 2 years of figures that would be subpar compared to everything else because their stats are so much lower with no offset.
you're about to get that now. Like,
Well,
That's
but
why
you
we
have-
should rotate earlier.
you
Get rid of
you
extra
wait.
basketball, get rid of another set extra the year after to help get rid of these 2x3 maps.
You wait and see if these Spider-Man and Avengers 60 figures are not lower statted.
Honestly, I think they'll probably be fine. Because I think they're probably going big with a 60th. for Avengers, is my guess.
I am super excited to listen to y'all right now. It feels like I'm getting a live, telecast of a podcast. And so I would just like to say this: suck it up, Tyler. Build better.
It's all a problem we didn't need.
Wait, what?
It's all a problem we didn't fucking need in the first place.
The whole idea is that maybe it is a problem that we need to get more players. That's the goal, right?
How does shrinking the map?
That's not. That's not. Yeah. So shrinking the map. So let's talk about a couple of points there. I know Tyler didn't get to react to my statement to him, but he'll probably save that later for me. So how does a smaller map help sell more of the game? It makes it to where stores have less table space committed to play the game. It lowers the footprint that the game needs to be packaged in to some extent, making it.
I don't think that's true.
No, I don't either.
Wait,
use a foldable map. It doesn't need to be smaller. It's going to be the same size when it's folded up.
It's almost a third.
There is no
size smaller.
There is no.
Well, yeah, but you fold it up.
Folded maps don't come in the mini games.
Okay, so the mini game tiles, the one tile is about it. That's the map size, right? Okay.
Yeah.
That box is going to be just as big as it was.
Yeah.
It can be less. It'll be not as thick. That makes a difference.
That's true.
Okay, so if before we knew about this, you were going to sit down and think, okay, this is what we're going to do to get more players in the game. Is this what you were going to come up with?
No. You guys are missing the point. It is not to get more players in the game. It's to sell more product. So you sell more product by making the packaging for the game able to be on more store shelves.
I don't think I agree with this at all. I think that's a little silly.
There is a small truth to that. No, there is a small truth to that. I used to work at grocery stores, and there was a whole thing.
I get that.
In grocery stores, and on shelves.
Shelf space is a big deal for marketing and for selling your products in stores, getting it on shelves. I agree with that. This will not affect that for HeroClix.
It's a very small thing. It's not a large part of it. It's a small part of it.
It's a negligible, non-existent part. In the most extreme case of what is saved here is you use 4 of those cardboard things instead of 2, or instead of 6, so you lose 2. So you're saving 5 millimeters of box height.
No, you're saving 4 inches because you're gonna make the squares smaller. They're not gonna be the same size squares.
Yeah, you can redesign. You can redesign the squares to where they're not as big, so your overall height and depth of box change.
Well, I mean, the thing is that's obviously not their plan, because their play-at-home kits for Adventure are still rectangles. Like if they were, because that's the only thing making the play-at-home kits bigger is that the map is the rectangle. So when you're doing it now to the square, should the play-at-home kits not be in a square as opposed to a rectangle? Well, they're all rectangles.
I mean, have you seen a folded up BR map compared to a folded up regular size map?
Yeah, we just got them in X of Swords. Yes.
Yeah.
They're a quarter size smaller.
Yeah. But they are folded more of a square, aren't they? Aren't they a little bigger?
Yeah, it's a perfect square.
Yeah, they're tall-wise a little bigger than the other one.
But what about these hard tiles we're doing in these miniature games? You ain't folding that up, are you?
No, I mean, but you can redesign. I mean, will be interesting to see what the Spider-Man tiles look like.
Yeah, my understanding was
what do the Batman ones look like?
Instead of 6, well, it's currently 6 square tiles. My understanding was that it's now going to be 4 square tiles. It's possible, I guess, that they do 6 rectangles that are smaller rectangles. I
mean, a square. Geometrically speaking, a square is divisible into smaller squares, so you could do 6 squares or smaller versions of squares.
6 squares does not make a square.
Then it could be 4 squares.
Yeah. Anyway, this whole thing is irrelevant.
But yeah, it's a very small portion of it.
Jason,
the other part.
Nobody was asking for this, God damn it! Nobody was asking for this dumb shit.
The other small part is that this makes the games, like Alex said way earlier, that you can't run around anymore. It's more interactive. And that should make games quicker, and that's what we want, is to be able to get a player to play a game for 30 minutes and be sold on it, instead of 45 minutes to an hour.
I agree with that. I think that there's less setup turns, there's less dancing. I think that, again, if we just snapped the fingers and all the changes were done and the maps are all the same, I think HeroClix is a better, maybe even a much better, more dynamic game on this board with the terrain.
You replaced the object setup and all that dancing around stuff with laying terrain down and where you're going to put it at.
I don't think it. I don't know.
So Jason, let me ask you this, Jason. So, are you and Tylor basically saying the same thing, that your problem is with big maps and small maps being legal together?
Yes. Partially. Yeah, I like one or the other. That would be better. I wouldn't have done it in the first place at all, but one or the other would be better.
Okay. So, yeah. So all of that we went back and forth with. Brad is right. The smaller maps lead to more engaging games that reach a conclusion in a more timely manner.
Yeah, and even just the initial start is just you versus your opponent. You're right there. It's more like chess, right? You set up, they set up, and then you go.
So after all of that back and forth, I agree with you guys. Just delete the maps. Yeah. Y'all. I mean, they deleted Realm of Death with no explanation.
Okay.
Just delete.
Oh man, I love you so much. You're just
all right now.
No. You, before you disagree with me, point me to the article where they explained why Realm of Death was magically gone from Modern.
Do we need to change our podcast to Shots Fired? I feel like that's what we need to just change it to at this point.
No, there's nothing to. There's no shots fired, right?
Let me ask you this question. When was the last time we freaking ever asked for a set to be retired early?
No, we're not asking
ID
for...
Cards. No, you guys all were saying, let's retire Rise and Fall early. Let's retire some of this stuff early.
No, so I think that was different. So let's
It was ID cards, just to be clear.
Let's reach
They were asking for the ID cards, not the whole sets, though.
Hold on. Let's reach for a conclusion on our suggestion. Okay, so y'all, let me set a baseline, and y'all agree or disagree from there, right? To reach a conclusion on our suggestion. My suggestion at this point, I think I agree with y'all. Don't get rid of the sets. Just make the 2x3 maps not legal later this year.
Okay, how many legal maps are there in Modern? Right?
I'm looking at the WizKids map now, the map list right now.
Over 30.
So there's rock maps that would all be gone.
No. How many legal maps remain if you do that right now?
None.
So
the Batman map, back and forth.
Right. So you can't do that.
None of the BR maps are legal.
So, well,
you can make them legal.
You can make the BR maps legal.
Just make a map pack and sell it and have a new product.
I agree with that, Jason.
That's so easy to say when we haven't played on those BR maps before.
I agree with that too. I do think that they might have been designed more for 4x4s. I don't know entirely. Maybe it's fine, but I would need to look at it first.
Because keep in mind, they're talking about getting rid of a lot of terrain on the map, so you can put terrain down. So
I'm assuming they're designed dynamically because you can pick either side. Those ones, they talked about it being less symmetrical, which is a great positive change that we have not talked about. Is that having it 4 options to choose from, it does make it much, and they're making them less symmetrical. That's a great change that we've been asking for forever.
I'm gonna hold my breath on that one though. It's a lot easier said than done to design a map that's just asymmetrical.
I don't think so. I think it can be done. I think that the Batman map that they did was really good with the way that it's designed. Like there's elevated, there's water, and you can pick any of the sides. I think that they can do that.
Man, guys, I just tell you what, I'm on HC Maps just looking at. Okay, so I'm looking at 16x16 maps. Boy, we're gonna have a blast, fellas. It's just gonna be a barrel of monkeys to just go out there and yeet the shit out of something.
Yeah, but you want quick games. That's what sells. So okay.
Yeah, I'm kind of more down for that. I don't know. I'm liking it more and more. The smaller map, the quicker games, the more engagement. You don't have to worry about somebody running.
I'd be fine with it if it was right now.
So
that happened.
So maybe we don't know the best way to get more 2x2 maps into players' hands. I do like Jason's idea of a map pack. I do think it is a bad idea to just immediately delete them.
Yeah.
So find some way to get more 2x2 maps in our hands over the next, say, 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, heck, let's have Howard do something, right?
I mean, he probably is.
He's got to have something going on there.
He's probably has something. I haven't talked to him about it. I have no idea. But Howard's map designer and printer. Let's fire up the presses. Presses.
They already do make BR maps. I mean,
they do.
He had one on the live stream anyway. He was like,
he does. Hold on. Hold on. So
they could have had a map pack ready to go for Spider-Man if they wanted.
Yeah, that's what they should have done. A cheap $15 3 maps.
More, Brad. More.
We're not about cheap products
anymore. No. Brad. More.
I'm sorry. Make it $30. 6
More.
Okay, calm down.
Guys. Delete the maps out of. Delete the 2x3s out. Sell me a 10 map pack for $50.
No.
I'll be okay with that.
And
they're already doing this, guys. It's called the play-at-home kits. That's why we're getting 3 of them in Avengers. We got 3 play-at-home kits. So you get a figure and a map. So I mean,
there are 3 play-at-home kits.
That's not.
There's Captain America, Iron Man, and Hulk. There's 3 separate ones. I get what you guys are saying.
We don't know what size maps are in there.
I mean, sure.
If it's not 2x2, I'm gonna be upset.
Right.
Hey, they've done other.
I won't be surprised though.
But what I'm saying though is they are having more play-at-home kits, which is another avenue they're taking to get people to be able to play with.
I didn't realize it was 3. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
But
now they are $20. That's a little pricey. But they have legacy cards in them now, right? Like legacy and team up. That's what they've been doing. Okay. Yeah, there's a legacy card in each one. So a figure, legacy, and a map. Like that's probably good for $20. Yeah. So if you do 3 of those, that's 6 maps.
I don't think they're gonna. If they retire the maps early, which I think that they said that they weren't going to do explicitly, but if they do that, I don't think it'll be for another year, and that leaves us with a year of this problem.
They said the maps will remain legal as long as the sets are legal. So
okay. They left a little loophole there, so maybe they retired things early.
So I think to that point, right? They're most likely not getting retired early.
Yeah.
And in which case, I tend to agree with Tylor and Jason's assessment that it's going to be weird and difficult. But my response to that would be get good.
Well, that's what you have to do, right? Yeah. So we agree with that. You just got to do it.
Oh man, that's a nice sentiment. It's like fuck you.
Thank you for listening to the show. Get good.
Yeah. Thanks everybody for listening today. No, I don't want to seem overly dismissive, guys.
You're too past that ramp off already, buddy. That's
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. I don't know how difficult it'll be to adjust. But I don't think it'll be that bad, guys.
I think it'll be good. I'm the dissenting. I'm the person that completely disagrees with all of you. So
I think it'll be fine. It's better to have both map sizes
because of the figures. Yes. They have to be tied together, so if we're stuck with the figures, we got to be stuck with the maps. I do not want to be facing some of these figures on a tiny map 100% of the time. I want to be able to have an option. So if you're taking me, so I'm probably playing with building a team to play on 2x3 with the mindset of I'm going to be thrown on 2x2s occasionally, like maybe a decent amount. Because
The point of a 2x2 is that you're gonna get hit first turn. That it's so easy to do. It's gonna happen no matter what figure. Like,
so if it's so easy to do on a 2x2, right? It's just so easy to just get hit. Are you telling me that with like some of these figures that we have, these support figures, that you can't do it on a 2x3 just as easy?
Well, not with the changes.
Not
no.
Y'all don't
just as easy. No.
What? Okay, so let's talk about the standard powers and abilities rules changes.
Let's get into that.
Wow, yeah. Look at there. And with that change, I'd also like to point out, check the link in bio for Auxxit. Auxxit runs HeroClix auctions with every set release and occasionally in between. Click the link in bio to join Auxxit. Great HeroClix cafe, great auctions and deals to be found. Standard powers and abilities.
The third article.
The third article. The article we got today. Power play.
The main things that change are ranges and terrain is the two basic things that have been updated, right?
So yeah, knockback, sure. Adding the knockback and some powers change, sure.
Right. So the first one, minimum range 4. Barrier, Force Blast, Mind Control, Probability Control, Perplex, and Outwit fall into this category.
And Smoke Cloud.
No. Smoke Cloud received another change. So they received no other changes other than adjustment to their minimum range. The first big one, the first one that we have, Pulse Wave, still kind of sucks. But it's just range of 4.
Got a huge buff from the way, though.
It did.
I don't think Pulse Wave sucks right now. Pulse Wave is good.
Yeah,
that's because you want to do it. That's because you want to do it. We talked about it with Deathstroke. Let's be clear.
No, I think it is a good. Pulse Wave is a good power right now. I
feel like the past 2 to 3 episodes we've been hyping Pulse Wave, and then suddenly we get to this one and Pulse Wave sucks.
So the thing is, let me clarify. It still kind of sucks because there's no single target full damage Pulse Wave.
Okay, well,
that's a good thing.
That is true.
That's thinking of fonder times.
I know it's that 2014 to 2019.
But Gramps, my Pulse Wave has always done 1 damage.
Yeah.
I do like the change to Pulse Wave just being static 4 because it's always annoying trying to figure out the range.
It's not a static 4; it's a replacement value.
Oh, so you can still modify it.
Yeah.
I don't like that. Just make it a static 4. Don't let me modify Pulse Wave. It's weird. What happens if I have a range of 4 and I perplex the range with somebody who's 5 away and then I Pulse Wave? It's 5, right? Even though the perplex gets turned off halfway through?
Right, because
the action's already been declared.
Right. So you make a range attack. Right, and then because you draw
that, just make it 4.
Yeah, I tend to agree, but
I do like their mindset behind it because they're like, listen, the people that could really use Pulse Wave are like snipers and people with long ranges, and it's like those people aren't going to be Pulse Waving. They're going to be shooting from range. Like the ones who need it may be more melee oriented figures that could get up in there. And then do a Pulse Wave. I was like, that makes sense, right? Like that makes sense. You'd have someone go in and explode. So I do like that change.
Right. So
I really like it because you can perplex it down, and now you can make little small bombs.
Yeah, that's true too.
So I also like it like Exospecs, super great in silver. Especially like if
you can get super strength.
Yeah, that is one thing I do like. Yes, I'm pointing at my mic like I'm pointing at you in person. Like, yeah, but like just a random Hulk getting Pulse Wave, or like even like Sky Tyrant getting Pulse Wave, right?
Imagine Jasper's getting Pulse Wave.
You're still doing 1. I mean, I don't want Hulk to be doing 1 damage to everybody. I want him to be quaking or more. To do more damage than just 1.
Well, can you imagine Can you imagine like Quake? It does too, right? The Exospecs you can choose Quake too. So
well, speaking of Quake, They've changed Quake now. One of the things that's not mentioned very often about this is they changed it back to requiring a close action. So you can't use Quake now with like Waldo Arms. Yeah, yeah, that too. Can't do that anymore. But now it's a close action knockback. Destroy all terrain markers and printed pieces of blocking terrain within 1 square. Then make a close attack targeting all adjacent opposing characters, and then each hit character is dealt 2 damage instead of normal damage.
Right.
So this is one of your new barrier removers, essentially.
I'd like to also be clear that it does not help you hit people behind barrier, because they are 2 squares away instead of 1.
But it does.
If you're a giant, it would work.
Well, I mean, yeah. There's hold on. So the exceptions to that are if you have some form of giant reach, if you do it to a wall, if you quake a wall, right, and somebody's behind a wall, that so it's a huge buff for Quake. Let's be clear. But like, haha, I'm going to get through all the barrier and attack is not quite that.
Get your pog swords now, people.
But at the same time, though, I mean, before to get through barrier, we were having to take an action to shoot through 1 barrier. This at least gets through 3 in a line, right? Like it gets through multiple. There's not a lot of powers that get through multiple terrain markers.
Yeah, Sky Tyrant with the giant reach is just like barrier does almost literally nothing to him.
Well, no, he can't flurry and Quake now anymore.
Oh, true. That's true. That's a big change. You can't flurry Quake.
That's why they had to make the change. Otherwise, that would probably be
nerf Sky Tyrant. Ooh.
One thing I like about it is that now weaker characters without the minimum damage to destroy can now just destroy the terrain.
Yep.
Regardless of their damage output.
Yeah, that's true for sure. Yeah, I like this change. I think it gives some more identity to Quake, because generally in games, like a common game mechanic is, earthquake or shaking the ground will destroy structures. So I think that's a cool change.
Also, objects that destroys objects now too.
Yeah, which could be obviously useful with the way the objects are doing. Yeah, I like that change a lot.
Super Strength. We kind of already talked about a little bit of the change in Super Strength, but basically knockback during close attacks. This character can pick up, hold, and put down non-object terrain markers, excluding smoke, debris, or water markers. So that's kind of funny that you can pick up someone's barrier and technically put it somewhere else. I think that is funny.
They just move this over here.
Yeah.
Can you do that all in 1 turn?
With sidestep?
Sidestep.
Yeah.
Or hypersonic is still 2 moves. So
that is funny.
It doesn't clarify all that, though. Is what I'm saying.
We don't know how it's going to work yet.
So we are.
You don't know that you have to have 2 separate moves to do that necessarily.
We don't know that for sure. We don't know that, right? We were making a small assumption there. But we do need the comp in the rule book.
So. No, it is once per move. This character may either pick up 1 light object or put down 1 held object in a score. That's object pickup.
Well, does it? Okay.
Oh no, sorry. I was looking at the old one. This may put down 1 held object in a square it moves through or adjacent to. So
Where's this at?
In the PAC, the new one. They have I only just learned that object pickup is an inherent ability they list in the PAC. I never knew that.
Oh, okay.
I never knew that before. Yeah, it was in the old one and the new one. Like, it's always been a thing. It's on the section.
That's an object. What about terrain markers?
Objects are terrain markers now.
But
terrain markers
are not objects.
Yeah.
Terrain markers are not objects necessarily, though. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Either way,
let's
though.
Just assume that works like that.
No. So objects will be considered so from the first article, objects will be considered a type of terrain marker.
Right.
That doesn't say terrain. That doesn't say all terrain markers are considered objects. So.
Yeah.
Well, I know, but Super Strength says you can pick up terrain markers. I don't understand your confusion.
You can No. Super Strength says you can pick up, hold, and put down non-object terrain markers.
Because not everybody can just pick up light objects.
Yeah.
No, everybody can pick up light objects.
Yeah, everybody can pick up any object. Because there are no heavies or no lights. They're just
objects.
What
I'm saying is, if I run up and I grab your barrier square, then what can I do with it?
So there's nothing that explicitly says in this that we've seen so far. Nothing explicitly says that picking up a terrain object has the same mechanics as picking up or terrain square is the same as picking up an object. But I think it's a pretty safe assumption.
It is picking up and putting down.
Right. So Jason, and then what? To your question of what you're asking, what you can do with it. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So in the new pack, there is close terrain actions and range terrain actions. So if this character is holding a terrain marker, make a close attack, modifying damage by the terrain marker's damage starburst symbol. Starburst modifier.
So this is fantastic. Yes.
Indicated by the +X. If this terrain does not have a printed damage modifier, the default modifier is +1. After resolutions, destroy that terrain.
So I can go and grab your barrier and hit you in the head with it. That's fucking great.
Yes, they actually go into detail about like why they made the changes to super strength, which great read. Like they're like super strength has just been bad because it's so reliant on objects. But with equipment, no one was ever really playing objects. So it's like, so they're like, this makes it where it's so much better because terrain markers are there. It makes sense that Hulk could go up and pick a car that you're hiding behind that you didn't put there. That's just there, right? Like it makes sense that he could just put up a wall. He's just going to take that wall and hit you with it. Like that makes so much sense.
Oh, I love that. That's great.
We can also talk about knockback being back here, knockback damage, because it is. It's just a static 1 now, right?
Yeah.
For if you're knocked into terrain or off elevation, is that right?
You're knocked back onto a lower elevation.
What if you're knocked back into a higher elevation?
That is
not... wall.
Yeah, that would be into a terrain. And at that point, you suffer 1 damage.
Let me just read it. When this character hits, you may choose to knock back all hit characters that took damage. Wait, that's just knockback. Where are we seeing knockback damage? Oh, a character that is knocked onto a lower elevation or into terrain. Okay, suffers 1 damage. Gotcha.
Suffers 1 damage. We have a new game turn. That's called suffer.
It is not. It is not in the comp books. The word suffer, by the way.
I'm not sure why they didn't say dealt. Maybe to distinguish it's not from a character, so it's not character damage.
So suffer is a new game term. It is not exclusive to what Jason and Tylor feel about the varying map sizes both being legal in war at the same time.
I don't know. I feel like they're suffering.
Unfortunately, now this game is rated PG-13 or higher because you're suffering damage now as opposed to just you're taking damage.
It's always been 13 or higher. That's on the boosters.
Another caveat with this.
Wait, what? And they let Isaac compete when he was 11?
Disqualified.
I need to go back to that. That needs to be looked at.
By the way, Tylor, welcome to the joke from 2015 when he won the first time.
But improved movement, destroy blocking is another huge thing for a lot of charge pieces that have that improved ability. Now you can move into blocking whales and move in it without having to wait till after actions resolve. It's immediately destroyed.
Whales did not have improved movement, destroy blocking.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, they had
the new Quake.
Yeah, they had they did have the new Quake.
They destroyed after they moved. They destroyed the blocking around them, but they could not move through blocking.
Right, they just
Tri-Sentinels would have loved this.
Whales just had to swing their tails around the blocking terrain.
That was a stupid interaction.
Good one, Dan.
I'm glad it's changed.
So the next quick power that changed, this one's minor. Smoke Cloud went down to minimum range 4, and then they changed it where you're no longer dropping hindering terrain markers. They're now smoke terrain markers because you're not allowed to pick up smoke. So they just wanted to make sure you knew it's smoke terrain, which is a subset of hindering terrain that can't be picked up, destroyed, or used in a terrain action. Otherwise, it's identical to hindering terrain.
I want to say, I called the movement one. I said that before, and I wish they would have taken my suggestion for Smoke Cloud. Just give it free plays 1 token. That's what it needs. It'll be good. Give it to a support piece. Anyone who uses it that is good with it can do it as free. Everybody loves it as free. Just let them do 1 square for free.
Yeah, I agree. That and Leap Climb, move 1 square for free.
Yeah, something like that. I have not thought about that one as much, but that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Anyway.
You know, we mentioned super strength. It excludes smoke, debris, and water, so you can pick up hindering terrain markers.
I can't wait for the special object bucket that lets you pick up water markers.
That kind of makes sense. I was thinking
or
about
broom
that.
for.
Wait, you're saying that, but
we used to have a bucket of water.
Yeah, you used to have a bucket of water, but yet you're dismissing my structural integrity field.
Yes,
Yeah.
That's you taking it up to 11.
That's you wanting to build the ultimate fortress that cannot be destroyed. That's what that is.
We already did that.
Do you remember it was the zombie Doom that could do that, couldn't he? He had like a special barrier thing.
Yeah, Zombie Doom and Magneto.
Maybe it was Magneto. I'm not sure.
So the next 2 powers that make a change. The next one has nothing to do with the maps. It's just support's always been a very subpar power because it relies on many circumstances of you got to roll an attack, you got to be able to hit them.
Y'all are full of shit. Support's always been awesome.
It feels so good to be validated.
Oh, well, this is so much better.
So now support is power action. It's basically regen. Choose an adjacent friendly character, roll a d6, heal that character number of clicks equal to half the result, round it up.
Great.
Awesome.
Yeah. Anybody who said that support was great before is thinking of 2015, 2016. It has not been good since like Wonder Woman 80.
Man.
It's just not been good. Because they have not built figures that could utilize it well with like defend and high attack and stuff.
And also, the way the meta is now, the way people swarm, it would just also be another useless power.
Yeah, it's almost impossible to use in-game because of the adjacency clause. So that's almost a bigger deal on the removal of that. But yeah,
you skipped over Battle Fury, by the way. You can now make range attacks with Battle Fury.
Oh well, that's not in the article.
That's not in the article. We were going to talk about the PAC specifically after the article.
Yeah. I'm going down the article. We'll get there. But yeah, support bigger. It's a buff for sure for like Indigo Ring.
It's a huge buff.
Yeah, now equipping an Indigo Ring and healing 2, like just for a power action, because the ring gives you a +1, so you could heal 4 effectively, but that's huge. Like that's support is now on par with regen, which is what it should have been to start with. So
animals love this.
Yep, that's what I was gonna say. High evolutionary.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of figures now that we need to go back and look at and say, hey, this was a support. This is a figure that had support. Maybe that bumps it up a tier. Like there's
support is free is really good now.
Well, like
a few figures that can do that.
One figure I'm thinking about that gets kind of a buff all around is remember Lady Roma?
No,
I do not. I blacked her out, man.
I love Lady Roma.
She's got support, and now you can just bring in elevated. So like, like she's she's actually probably really good right now, because you can just stick her on an elevated terrain in your side of the map, and it'll be nuts.
You know who has support is free that I've been hyping up is Chase Fred. Support is free, baby.
That's true. That's true.
If there's a monster or a mystical character on the map.
Yeah.
Another thing is that now with your last 10 points that you didn't know what to do with, you could just give it to a character that would do nothing and give them the Indigo Ring.
Yep, Merlin. Yep.
Merlin?
We're just sitting in the back not doing anything. I guess I'll come up and support you, buddy.
Commissioner. Now, I don't think this... I still don't think it's that good. I don't think it's that great of a power. It's not like I'm building my team and I'm like, oh, I don't have support, I better get it.
This is definitely tier A. Tier A at least.
Well, I don't think so. I think it's just... if it's good if you have it, you don't need it.
Well, no, think about this, Tyler. The tent poles that do really well are the ones that have free regen. They're the pains in the butt. This is essentially for that figure of free regen. It still costs you an action, but someone else is taking the action, your main person can still do stuff. So I think this is a big buff to maybe the figures that were slightly below tent poles. You know, they didn't have all that stuff.
Still reduce support?
Yes, yes, they do still reduce it by 1. Yes.
Yeah, if you think about Dan's Thanos team, the Spider-Man one, the Thor Mary Jane, what does she do on your team, Dan? She didn't really do much.
Well, Mary Jane, we still don't know whether or not autonomous characters can do it.
No, not Mary Jane. The Thor one. The Thor Mary Jane.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, the rare.
The OG team, yeah.
She attacked people, gave her a mobile. She was good.
Yeah, she actually did it. She actually
come
did
up very often, though.
Yeah.
I get what you're talking about.
I see what you're saying, though, Brad.
Yeah.
All right, so the biggest change, not the biggest, but one of the bigger changes was the change to TK. So that makes TK now as a minimum range 4. You choose a terrain marker or single base friendly character within range of line of fire. Place it in a square within range of line of fire that is also within 4 squares of line of fire from that terrain marker / character. And then they added this character can make ranged terrain actions as if it was holding terrain markers within range of line of fire. So they basically gave TK back the ability to range attack, throwing objects at someone else. They also took away the clause that characters placed with this power can't use TK this turn. So if you've been TK'd, you can now TK. It's
Doctor Strange got a big buff.
It's
Who did you say? Who did you say, Tyler?
Doctor Strange.
Yeah, the uncommon one.
Yeah.
Like,
he can TK himself as free, so it's like more.
That's a sneaky huge thing. A lot of people are overlooking this, I think.
The caveat is obviously the range goes down to 4 instead of 6, which is pretty big. Like 4 is, I know it's only 2 squares.
That's huge.
But
it's a 50% reduction. 33%.
25%.
30.
Not 25.
33% in this case.
It can't be 25.
There's 3.
It's a third. It's a third.
It's 33%.
From 6 to 3 is you're missing 3. Yeah.
Right.
Either way,
we are not your math podcast. We are HeroClix podcast.
It's a 50-50.
Yeah, it reduces it by 50%. Okay.
Yeah. So effectively, the change in TK, it does hurt figures like Venom Magneto, but like from a range standpoint. But he gets buffs in the fact that he has running shot, right? So he can running shot, throw an object at somebody. He could also be TK'd, so he could TK himself for free and then power TK, so he doesn't have to be carried up. All of that nonsense. So there are benefits to it, but I ultimately feel like the losing the 2 is fairly, at least in the next 2 years, right? With the 2x3 maps, it's detrimental. It's not where, I have to have TK. And I guess this is good. One thing I didn't think about with the 2x2s is the fact that the reliance on TK isn't such a big deal anymore. Like I feel like now when we think about it, every team you have to have TK almost, unless you're going purely like what Caleb played, right? Like the Green Lantern, I carry everyone on. Yeah, almost every other team has to have a TK to really be mobile.
And even those teams use it like a lot. Like use that.
Yeah. So this kind of backs it off a little bit.
So let's also just mention that like a 16 square map, good old Lockjaw, just goes across the map.
It was already so close before you had to force it with Chip or something, but now you don't have to.
Or Kazar.
Yeah, but he's only carrying 2 people, so
Lockjaw.
Well, you got to take an action to bring everybody over next to him now.
Yeah, I mean you don't have to. Obviously, there are side steps and things like that. But,
sure.
I think the note about TK using it as a ranged action, it came up with a couple of people. You cannot TK a barrier to a person hiding behind the barrier because it's not picked up yet until after. It's not destroyed.
Choose a terrain marker or single face. So choose a terrain marker, place it into a square within range of line of fire that is also within 4 squares. So yeah, you're right. He would not be within line of fire when you have to choose.
Well, now the action is at the end. You're looking
the second part, Tyler.
Yeah, the first part is just moving. If you're just going to take their barrier and move it elsewhere.
Okay. This character making range as if it was holding terrain markers within range line. Okay, gotcha. That's true. I do like. That's been a big flavor thing because that anybody who can use TK in the comics, this is what they use it for. They don't move people around very often. They throw things at people, and that it kind of had to be removed because of the way that the rules were set up before. Being able to destroy indestructible objects just by making them poof, like throw them into the atmosphere or whatever, was dumb. But now that it's only terrain markers, I think that's a great change.
So I think it needs a little bit more of a buff to old TK, to where it targets the square of the character, so you can target characters that are hiding in stealth.
I don't think it needs that.
So the one caveat I will say, the one thing that's up in the air is we do need the comprehensive to fully.
Yeah, keep in mind that some of the stuff we are making assumptions today.
Right. So what I was trying to say is that, like, this character can make ranged target actions as if it was holding terrain markers within range of line of fire. The comprehensive does say when you're holding an object, that object is considered off the map. So if you're considered to be as if you're holding this terrain marker, that now terrain markers are considered off the map. It's really going to depend on what the comprehensive says about.
You have to draw a line of fire first to make the attack.
So you make a ranged terrain action as if it was holding terrain markers within range of line of fire. So I'm acting as if I'm holding this one within line of fire, and then I make a ranged attack. Because it says if a character is holding a terrain marker. So I'm now holding this terrain marker.
No.
It is off the map.
But you still have to draw a line of fire. You have to draw a line of fire to do before you do that.
You got to be holding the terrain marker to make the range. Like, you do range.
Yeah. They don't have to.
Yeah, they do, yes.
They do not have to hold it. It says as if they were holding, but they don't have to hold
it. What? Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Also, Magneto can go running shot TK now.
Yeah, for the range,
range action, yeah.
Range action, yeah.
Yeah, not the moving. Don't confuse.
No.
He could also just move 8 and then do it.
Yeah.
And he gets his range, so that's another 8. So he has a 16
I was thinking about
range.
elevated, where you can remove elevated and remove elevated. To do that free knockback damage. I don't know. Yeah. I'm weird. I'm sorry.
No. If they're like, they put their whole team on top of that shipping container, you move up there and free voop it out from underneath them and they'll fall. Yep.
Venom Magneto, whoop, like a 1920s magician.
Yeah, I guess they do need to fix that TK, because if there's no terrain markers around, you could still do that, right?
Well, a ranged range action, if there's no object, then
but it says you can make ranged terrain actions as if you were holding terrain markers.
Well, no. Terrain markers within range line of fire. There are none, so you can't do that.
So at what point do you... it's a little confusing. They're going to need to... I feel like...
Yeah, I'm sure...
You have to say the whole part. Holding terrain markers within range line of fire.
No, I get what you guys are saying. I'm confused about... Yes, I get it. I still don't know if my scenario is completely...
So, I mean, I'm sure we'll probably get a few more explanations about that. Maybe Tabletop Teacher will help us. Will help us with some videos or something.
So that's all that was in the article. Going back to the PAC, looking through it, outside of Brad, what you were saying with Battle Fury, do you want to say that again?
Yes. This is one of the first things that I saw, because I just glanced and I was like, yeah, I get that, I see that. And then I saw Battle Fury, where it says this character can't make range attacks or be given range actions except for range terrain actions, and it's granted a range attack. And then everything else that goes with Battle Fury can't be given action tokens, carry, yada yada yada. So
you can still throw terrain. You weren't able to throw an object before with Battle Fury.
You were not, no.
Yeah, it makes sense.
That's a cool little flavor thing for sure.
Yeah, you get someone that's real angry. Of course, they're going to pick up something and chuck it at you. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Like, you literally picture the Hulk throwing a shipping container at somebody while being very upset.
So,
now as far as the PAC itself, there's like that they are being truthful. There's not very many changes, if any. They've changed some of the symbols, like outdoor blocking is a different symbol now. It still looks kind of the same, but it's not a black circle. It's like a weird reddish one now. They've added some wording to leap climb phasing just to show, you know, they automatically break away or they don't automatically break away. Same with hypersonic. They just added that wording that you already knew, but it's in the pack now to explain it a little bit more. But besides that, I did a read through every power, and there is not anything like hidden outside of that Battle Fury one. Everything else has been kind of exactly how it was in the other one.
Cool.
The only thing that I think there was one thing that was different, and that was the wording of like when someone's dealt damage, and then instead it's like when this person is attacked. Like they cleaned up some of the language a bit. Like penetrating psychic blast. When this character, it used to be when this character makes a range attack, damage is penetrating. Now is damage dealt by this character's range attacks is penetrating damage. So like that changes things a little bit. I guess if you have pen psi and you throw a terrain marker, that's penetrating.
That's the way it works now.
It's already that way.
It's already that way.
Right. Okay, good. I'm not crazy. Okay.
You know what would be a cool combo to see in the future is running shot Battle Fury.
I think that may need to be paired with some sort of generation, like rip it up or something. But that would be cool. Yeah, I'd like that.
Whoa, no,
attack power.
That could be done.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, because like emotional modifier, right? You can running shot chuck a shipping container at somebody.
Ah, that's so cool.
Like sorry you're making me very angry, but I'm still going to throw the shipping container at you.
But let's give WizKids some credit. Like they're trying to emphasize, hey, these terrain markers, we think they're going to add a lot to the game. We're adjusting the game to be built around them, and here we are talking like, yeah, like now I want more objects and terrain markers on the map because I want to interact with them a little bit more, because objects were kind of just, you stood on them on heavy objects if you want to hinder, but besides that it's like, oh, Sarkarian Iron Man's going to eat them up, that's about it. Maybe Mary Jane throws one, but that's about it.
Or you just didn't include them at all.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. Now it's like I want to.
So like I understand, like, you know, as we get through the podcast here, you know, we are obviously upset about the dual map sizes, right? Some of us, right? It doesn't really tickle our pickles the way we would like for it to be.
My pickle's tickled.
Yeah. I would not like my pickle to be tickled.
Right. Well, you're not getting your pickle tickled right now.
Okay.
So
stay away from me, Daniel.
I'm not tickling your pickle. WizKids is going to tickle your pickle, not me.
When you get a chance, look up the word frottage.
So at any rate,
the what? Wait, the what?
Look up the word frottage.
I don't. How do you spell that?
I don't.
FROTTAGE.
I don't think I'm looking that
up.
I'm
not going to explain it. We're not going to go over it. This is
okay.
You do your own. All right. So, anyways, back to my statement before we got sidetracked on pickle tickling, is there is a lot more depth being brought back to the game. Right.
I agree. I think these changes are really cool. Like I said, it adds a lot of dynamic action throughout the game. Terrain's going to change throughout the game. Games will change. Like each game will be set up differently. The maps will be dynamically different based on the terrain. It seems like it's going to be a big part, and they're big. Like a 2x3 on a 24x24 map. That's a big deal. That's a lot of space that's getting taken up. So yeah, I like the changes a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Weren't they trying to like simplify the game not that long ago?
Well, they did. They've done their job.
And now we're adding all this stuff back into it.
Well, they mentioned that in the article. They talk about that. They said the update in 2021 was focused on streamlining the core gameplay. This small slate of changes will focus on increasing the excitement and flavor of most games without markedly increasing the complexity of its rules. I don't know about that last part, but it is a little bit more complex. But But yeah, they tailed it back and they said we're adding more excitement by, like, you have to take it back. If they were trying to add terrain to already complex, that's just going to add more and more. They had to dial things back and then add more. Like they had to.
I feel like the rules were simplified. I do think that was successful.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that, but then we just keep adding.
Sure, but the foundation is simple though.
Right, which I think was the point.
Yeah, I think I tend to agree with that. All right, let's get to our question.
I don't think new people, it works that way for them. But
dude, it's going to be so fun when the new person slaps another person with a shipping container. That's awesome.
It just all depends on if that shipping container is con exclusive or if you can get it in a booster.
Okay.
It's a mobile.
We just keep going back and forth. The rules change for this
or
game
if it's a mobile,
constantly.
yeah,
it's just, I don't know. There needs to be some stability.
You know, I was thinking maybe the reason that they're keeping all the maps and sets is because they listen to our podcast and we raised such a stink about JLU getting an early demise, and they were like, you know what, those Clixed Off guys, they got something going. We're not going to do that again, guys.
Yeah,
we're not going to do any.
We're
listening. Yeah, we're going to keep it. Everything stays. You know.
All right, let's get to let's get to answer some of our questions tonight. So Jose asked, in regards to the map changes, do you think the new legacy cards that come out soon will be focused on range 6 or less?
Ooh, that's a good point.
Yeah,
it's gonna be tough because ranges were way bigger back in the day. Like just as a
I think depending on the rarity.
I mean, even right now, legacy cards, like they're more ranged than average, and I don't think it's like too big of a deal, right? Like, well, I say that, but Thanos was some people found that to be troublesome. But like legacy Green Lantern right now is 10 range. I don't think that's a huge deal.
Yeah, Hal Jordan's
he has a 9 attack.
Yep. Sure. Not on his top dial, man. What are you talking about?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
I'll
look forward to you playing that next time. Top dial.
Yeah, I think that it would be okay to. Maybe they do. I don't think it's necessary, but maybe they would.
Well, and because to piggyback off that, a lot of these looking at Hal Jordan and like Green Lantern, the ones with the high range doesn't mean they had a lot of reducers, because there was not a lot of reducers back then. So it's a caveat of, oh, you got a big range, well, you're going to die pretty quickly and all your stats are going to fall off a cliff and you're going to lose all these powers. But you got that 10 range though, so you know, don't get hit.
Yeah.
It reminds me of the Green Lantern and the Dark Side minions. He makes a wrench attack and just come over and just beat him up anyways.
Yeah.
So, let's see. Dennis's question: why did WizKids take away the TK restriction in the new pack? I don't know if we can answer why. I don't know if we can answer that. So
maybe because it's not necessary anymore.
Yeah. Ours is not to reason why.
Yeah. Even though we just reasoned why for like 30 minutes on the maps.
I think it's because it used to give you so much more range. Now you're talking about doing that kind of TK. You're getting 8 squares as opposed to 12. You know what I mean? Like if you're TKing out and then TKing and like.
TK used to be like 8 range, right?
It used to be based off of your range, wasn't it?
Yeah. So no. It's always been you move within 6, but like special powers used to be within 10 range.
Yeah, it used to be 10, then went down to 6.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I'm wondering if maybe that's like a holdover from that increased range, and now they just didn't think it was necessary. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I think it just might hinder it too much, just with all the pieces that have TK, and you're trying to be more mobile with all the terrain markers on the map. So maybe they just thought it was just too much of a hamper.
All right, so Amato asked, are there any characters you consider to add to a team because of the support change that weren't previously playable?
I don't think so.
Indigo Ring. Indigo Ring is now a throw-on to any figure that doesn't really do anything.
Yeah, Indigo Ring got better for sure. I do think that basically, I still don't think it's super necessary. I think anybody that was good before and happened to have support got better, but that's about it for me.
I mean, if you think about it, if you now compare the rings, the throwaway rings of willpower or I don't know, there's too many. I can't count that high.
It's better than willpower. I will give you that. I agree with that. I put it in D tier, I'm sure, and I would probably put it maybe up to B, maybe, if you had like a one-man army and an extra dude. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Does that mean we're playing Absalon Mercator now?
I too looked up support when I saw this change. And that,
there's not a ton.
There's some okay options. I think Sikorsky is autonomous with support.
Yeah, 12 attack support. Well, I guess it doesn't matter.
Yeah, he just got 12 attack for some reason now. But yeah, again, I don't think it's like super big deal, but it definitely is a relevant power now.
Ligerian Engineer, and what's that? 25-point pug. Yamo something.
Yafit.
Yeah. Yafit. Yeah.
Yafit. She's
retired.
Well, he's not. That doesn't have support, but the other lady does.
Yeah, she does. Support is free. Oh, and she used to only have a 9 attack, so that's way better now. She's retired, but that's a big deal.
Silver.
That 30-point common Scarlet Witch from D+ that has like Force Blast and support.
Woo!
Yeah, actually
okay. Powers in the game.
But I guess that is a good point. Like going back, that makes me rethink Indigo 1. Because Indigo
1 is good.
Yeah, because Indigo 1 had that when Indigo 1 uses support. No, when Indigo 1 uses it, she may target a friendly character within range and line of fire, and after resolutions gain mission points equal to the number of clicks that were healed. So you don't have to worry about rolling anymore. So you don't have to like, oh, I gotta hit support. Like you're gonna get that now. Like you're getting.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah. 6 ways away.
Wasn't there a big thing that? Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, friendly bystanders within range can use support. That's another one, obviously. Like.
That's cool.
It is. It's a bad dial. She's just not good.
She's got leadership, but yeah, I agree.
All right. Point. So Lamar wants to know, with question on barrier, with Molecule Man retiring and the many of the PAC improvements being anti-barrier tech, will the power be less vital going forward?
No. It will still be vital against ranged characters, because there's still going to be a lot of ranged characters until things rotate.
That was my thought too. I do think you'll still need to have it for those ranged characters. It still is an issue to get through, even if it's easier. Maybe it'll take a slight step back, but I don't think by much. I think it'll still be. It's just more. It has more answers, which is good.
Yeah, more answers. So the answer to the anti-barrier tech increasing means to just play more barrier.
No, but. No, I think the biggest reason barrier isn't.
Yeah. What? No. Yeah, Alex. You just if they can get through 3, that means you play 4.
No, you. Okay.
This mindful one looks a little bit better now. Super strength and support.
It's like
I literally went through all of these like earlier today.
I don't think the answer is just throwing more at the thing that you're able to solve. That's not a smart idea.
No. I'm almost in the same boat. Just because that means if you double down on barrier, that's more stuff you have to chew through.
Sure. Okay. Throw more cheap barrier pieces. I do the thing for me with barrier. The reason why it's still good is because of the I don't know. I think you guys said this. The smaller maps is the main reason. If they didn't make the maps smaller, then I would be like, okay, well, like smaller maps, you have to have barrier sometimes. Like you're making them have to use some of those powers because they can just everybody and their grandma's getting across the map. So you gotta, if you're not prepared for that, you're just gonna take a hit. Whereas barrier will help mitigate that a little bit. So.
Yeah, I think the biggest bump to the anti-barrier tech, and Richard McClure asked this question, destroy blocking movement. That's probably the biggest thing that makes barrier more manageable. because you just get to instantly move through it, right? So as long as you have enough movement, you can get in there and make an attack.
Yeah, that and the TK one. I think because Venom Mags is getting up there anyway, like him just being able to come up and just yeet one out of the way, that does matter. Because otherwise he's just free TKing. He can remove two effectively, right? Like if he's in range, he just TKs one out and then run for free and then running shot and remove another.
Yeah. And
he's on a majority of teams, so that's the other bigger one for me. As the super strength in Quake is very situational for me, but the TK and what you said is more so.
Yeah.
Freaking Sakura and Iron Man might just pick hypersonic super strength on the alpha now. That's pretty easy to do, right?
Well, yeah, but he can't use it.
Yeah.
Why?
It's a close action.
It's a close action.
Oh yeah, but he can still pick it up, right? Or can he not?
Yeah, he can still pick it up, but he can't.
So.
Well,
yeah,
it has its uses, sure.
Yeah.
True.
But yeah,
Sorry,
I think Barry's still a good power.
Yeah. I'm looking at all the figures for support now.
Yeah.
There's not much. Power. I assume we're going to get more. Like, I assume they're going to be building support back in, because there hasn't been many over the years, so...
Richard also asked, what one change, everybody answer just one change, that's your favorite, that is making your team building more exciting?
I don't really have one, because I haven't built yet with it. It's too new. I haven't incorporated in team building specifically. The change that I'm most excited for is the terrain. I think that's going to be... Right, I think it's really cool. That's, like I said, I think I've said dynamic like 8 times. But yeah, I think that's the best change in my eyes. It's going to add a lot of decision making to the games.
For me, it's tough because I really like 2 of them, Battle Fury or Support. Support is just more practical, but Battle Fury just sounds so cool. I want to really try it. So, yeah, I'm going with Battle Fury just because of what Dan said with the emotional modifier. I want to try something with that now.
Yeah.
They can't use shape change or use shape change on the ranged attack either.
Yeah.
I don't know. Does it say adjacent or close or?
I don't think so.
For what?
When this character attacks, opposing characters can't use shape change, so you can you can range to get rid of their shape change.
Well,
very cool.
That is extremely cool. All right, moving through the rest. Jason, favorite new thing.
I really just want to go up and grab barrier and hit somebody with it.
Right. Yeah, I feel like
that sounds like fun as hell.
Sorry,
I want to play Juggernaut and just go up and wallop somebody with barrier and run through all their barrier. That just sounds really fun.
You know that phrase, why are you hitting yourself? Why are you hitting yourself? Now it's why are you burying yourself? Why are you burying yourself?
Yeah, I'll piggyback off of Brad and take the other one because that's where I was leaning. For me, it's honestly support. As a guy who played Scarlet Witch and Sarkarian Iron Man, it's like Sarkarian Iron Man would love somebody just backing him up, supporting, just to take him back up to click 1. And that's so much easier now that I have this ring that just gives it to people. So, I mean, I can equip that ring to Miss Kang if I really wanted to. And she could just run around and support people, TK him up, and then, that next turn come up or be carried up and support him the next turn, whatever, in the middle of the battle, he's getting supported. That's going to be huge.
Support did get a small nerf, though. Very, very small. With stop clicks. With support, you got heal minimum 2 before, but now you potentially support and not heal at all.
Right.
Stop click.
Off of the stop.
Yeah.
Yep, you're right.
Yeah.
So everybody else answered. I think my favorite change is the change to initiative.
That's a good one.
It's streamlining a lot of the decisions, but it's also making it to where you're going to have to know how your team works on more maps. Because
I think it makes second players feel better too.
Yeah, some of those old crutches are being removed from theme team fluffs, and it's been very exciting.
Oh, just on that real quick, I do think that they mitigated it enough when I was talking about before, with the first player gets to pick the edge of the map, and also they get to place the terrain first. So I think that probably mitigates it enough. We'll have to see. But do you guys agree that going first should convey an advantage in the game?
No.
Nope. No.
It already has an advantage with first turn immunity.
No. I'm asking, if you win map roll, should that inherently give you an advantage in the game of HeroClix?
So I think the size of the advantage is what's at.
I'm just trying to get fundamentally a yes or no. Should it?
Small advantage.
Small advantage. Much
55-45, not 70-30.
Yeah, much smaller than what you're suggesting.
Well, I haven't made a suggestion. My next question was, like, what is the percentage you think it is now, and what do you think is the one that it should be at?
Yeah, I think whoever said 70-30 and now
45-55.
Yeah, whoever said that one.
Brad.
I think 45-55 is really small for a game that emphasizes the team building aspect, and you're
every other
supposed to have.
Game strives for is 55-45.
Well, right, but they don't have a mechanic. I agree with that, and it should be in those games, but they don't have a mechanic built into the game that gives you the ability to increase your odds to go first, right? And I think that because that mechanic is in HeroClix, it should convey a bigger advantage, because fundamentally you should, if it's built right, you should be sacrificing something to make your team have a higher initiative than your opponent because you want to go first.
This will help make more diverse teams. Instead of having a high theme team or a super low theme team or unthemed, now you can have those mid-tier themes that go along with it. That make you just push them away because it didn't do enough. But now it's almost...
Could be. We said that teams were going away after the last change where they capped it at 3. We said the
I
same
disagreed
thing.
with that wholeheartedly.
Okay, that's fine if you did, but most people, that was the talking point at the time, and it didn't really make the change. So we'll see. Obviously, nobody knows right now.
Yeah, right. So I mean, theme team is still super important, and it goes back to the fundamentals of building a theme team. Piece synergy, and I think that this change, to map supports your point, Tyler, in that theme team should be about team synergy, and what you really should focus on is how the team synergizes together, works together, how well they play together, not the fact that you just added on Grod, Carnage, so that you can win map.
So my counterpoint to Tyler, it's not really a counterpoint, but I think what's going against what you're saying is the fact that there is 2 separate types of theme teams that effectively do the same thing. If generic theme teams didn't exist, then I would agree with you more, because that means you are required to do more to build theme teams. Theme teams are so easy to build now.
Yeah, that's true. They've made them a lot easier.
Yeah, so easy. And you get other benefits. You get theme team props. That is huge.
Yeah,
that's an advantage.
Theme team props are huge.
Yeah, so
but go ahead.
Yeah, so your team doesn't, as a non-theme, you have to build in prob. So, like, I count theme team props as part of the advantage. I know you're talking about, like, theme team versus theme team. I built a higher theme, but that just means, maybe you accessed a keyword that has lower point figures than me. So because of that, you get a much bigger advantage than I do, because those figures could be great. Like Grods, for example. Great figures. I'm penalized because my theme doesn't have good 10-point figures. So that's why I think rolling for map, it should be more luck based than it is. So I feel like the benefit of it should be lower. I like this change a lot, because there's still obviously caveats to you win map, or you win first player, and you get to choose. There's still a lot to choose there, I think, especially with the 2 size maps. I think that's a big change. But
I want to ask Tyler and Jason, since I haven't really heard Jason on his how he feels about theme teams not mattering so much anymore. Is what I think you're saying, Tyler. Theme team doesn't matter so much anymore.
This change seems like it makes initiative matter less, which seems like the goal.
Jason, do you want to play more on theme teams or
I'm not convinced they don't matter as much yet. But
you know, one angle we haven't even mentioned. We could be talking about all this, and then next article they're like, you know what, guys, we're completely changing theme teams because that's all comprehensive stuff.
See, so I was gonna say you made a good point. They could at this point, and I would be okay with this, just completely remove initiative from theme teams and just say if you have a theme team, you get theme bonuses. That's the only advantage. And then the 50-50 more on the initiative roll makes more sense to me.
Yeah,
I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, they could completely do away with a lot of the things we're talking about, or add more. You know, there's still that one last article with comprehensive that could just change a lot of the things we're thinking about.
I'd be okay with them just getting theme prompts too.
Mm-hmm.
What's the name of the next article?
Comprehensive rules and miscellaneous changes.
Okay.
That could be anything.
Yeah.
It could be a boat.
It could even be a boat.
That might have been in the terrain marker article, actually.
That's
lay
true.
a boat.
So Anthony says, compare and contrast the old wording of improved movement elevated to the old one. What does this change mean in your opinion? I don't know.
That was weird. It's weird that it is that.
So it says this character does not have to end its movement when crossing a boundary of elevated terrain. That made it seem like before that you could cross a boundary of elevated terrain and stop.
It makes it seem like now you can. Like you can jump off a building. You just have to not move after that.
That would be so cool and very intuitive, I think.
I don't know about intuitive.
It's the same
all the time.
It used to be like hindering. That's how hindering used to be. If you did not have improved hindering, you got into the bush and you had to stop.
Yeah, I just think maybe you would take damage from it, but maybe not because you're doing it intentionally. I always wanted it mind control. Let me make them jump off the roof. I think that would be a cool thing.
Maybe that's what we get now.
Up the roof now. Now you can climb up the roof.
Oh yeah, true. But then that just poor leap climb.
Well, no, with leap climb you don't have to stop. Now you have to.
I get it, but
like everybody inherently can jump up an elevation.
Yeah, the chief is jumping up a wall.
What if this means they're getting rid of the arrows?
No, it doesn't. They've shown the arrows. Edison.
Yeah, it's in the PSE.
Edison specifically said that, and then Anthony was like, "No, they've showed it."
That's right. It's on one of the terrain markers.
Yeah,
they
right.
showed this. No,
yeah,
no, not the terrain marker.
Container.
No,
yeah,
that's
the
just.
container has it.
It just says +1, but sure.
All right, I'm going to move us through here a little bit more. So Anthony, we've talked about initiative quite a bit on his second part of his question. Second question, Richard Shaw. This is for probably Tyler and Alex. We've got to go back and look at our tier makers. We've got to do a live stream looking at tier makers at some point. Our old ones.
We've got a lot of stuff we got to do with that.
We've got to get that done. Rick Ryan. I think, with the support changes, is it worth going through the extra mile, so to speak, to try to get support on your team? No, because you just write Indigo Ring is assigned to.
Yeah.
Well, that's what it is then.
Yeah, 10 points.
10 points.
Start on there.
So it all depends on, right? Like Saki likes it. I do like that, Alex. I hadn't thought about supporting Saki so much. I was thinking more like supporting Thanos, obviously.
Hey, this does give a roundabout boost to Utility Belt. It has support too. Like we're like first aid kit, regen support, blah. But
yeah,
hey,
I've seen it happen a few times where Batman, Green Lantern, Batman gets across the map and does nothing afterwards. Maybe he does something now.
Right.
Yeah.
And then Miguel, we actually did we answered your question without answering it, because we did talk about Indigo 1 a little bit earlier. All right. Final thoughts. Jason, final thoughts?
I don't know. I'm still waiting. I want to play on the new map size just to see what it's like.
So, Jason, let me ask you. Maybe are you hopeful but skeptical, or are you? God, I can't think of the word. Are you
optimistic?
Are you disappointed and skeptical?
Let's go choice A.
All right, that's hopeful and skeptical. So that's a good one to be, I think.
Is that what you want, or is that what you feel?
What I want was it just didn't happen in the first place, and we didn't have to deal with all this new bullshit. But I do like my favorite thing is I just want to slap somebody with berries. Yeah.
Why are you burying yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah. I apologize. That's from me, Jason. I know.
Yes, it is.
It is. All right, Brad. Final thoughts.
Final thoughts from me. I'm so excited to use and abuse the emotional modifier even more.
I agree. Alex?
I am excited about all these changes and can't wait to see when they go in effect. Because they said it would be actually before Spider-Man. So I'm excited, especially with figures and maps, 2x3 maps being legal.
Tylor?
Yeah, I'm generally optimistic. I do, like I said, I think that the game will be quite a bit better. It'll be different, but I think it'll be quicker. It'll be more dynamic again. There'll be a lot of decision making with the terrain that I feel like is almost lacking right now. I think that this sort of puts a cap on how they've streamlined the game with the way that, items went to equipment and then items were useless and now they sort of merged it with terrain. I think that's a great change. Just a little concerned about how it's going to play out with the double map sizes. I think that could hamper some team building, but we'll see. It's a lot. Nobody really knows how it's going to play out.
My final word, just one word: cargo.
I like that one. That's a good one. All right, and then for me, I'm super excited about all these changes. I think it's a big bravo WizKids all around. For me, I am very, very excited about all of these changes. And thanks everybody for listening to Clixed Off today. Thanks, Brad, for joining us, and y'all talk to y'all next time.
Yeah.
Later.